Hey, welcome everyone to the From the Shadows podcast. I am your host, Shane Grove, and with me, as always, is the super producer, Jason.
Greetings, everyone.
Jason, you sound a little tired.
Oh no, I'm not tired. I'm just.
I said
busy.
super producer. I said super producer, man. Come on, you should, a little pep in your step there.
Little enthusiasm. Well, it's been a busy day. Put it that way.
So Jason, we have with us I want to say he's kind of a mystery, kind of a legend in the Bigfooting community here in Ohio. And the reason I say that is because this gentleman was brought to my attention from some well-known Bigfooters, Mark DeWorth, Daniel Perez, and we'll get into the story that they told that led me to try to find this gentleman, and we'll let him tell that story too, as compared to what the story they told. But I want to welcome, and I've been pumping you up about this, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
I've been pumping you up.
Yeah.
I want to welcome Mr. Mark Bigfootsightings, right? Did I get it right?
Right, Bigfoot. You got it close enough.
Close enough. And that's terrible. I just, told you what a legend you were, and then I butchered your last name. That's just terrible.
That's all right.
But Mark, hey, welcome to the program, and let's just get into it. Tell our listeners, where about you're located in Ohio, and then let's get into your journey here with Bigfoot.
Okay. Right now I'm currently in Warren, Ohio. I'm very close to Route 5, 10 minutes away from Newton Falls. And I started off with my first sighting when I was probably 7 years old in Streetsboro. I was just in the back of my house. We had a big yard, sitting down by a creek, just kicking dirt down into the creek, and I hear something to my right, and I see these two, it looked like 3-foot monkeys picking these blackberries, and they took off. So I went up to the house asking my mom, I said, do we have a camera? I want to take a picture or something. And when I told her what I seen, she just kind of looked at me odd, but that wasn't my only sighting there in Streetsboro. There was a friend of mine, we left school a little early one day, and we were across Route 43. We just happened to crawl through the tunnel, and on the other side, there was an old house that it looked like it was ripped apart by a tornado. And I'm looking, it appeared to be 5 big, tall creatures with a little one. And at about this point, the principal pulled up, and he probably saved our life. But it went from there. I had a stepfather who loved to take us fishing and hunting, and we had to hunt with him because he had a heart attack. But we were fishing along Mogador Reservoir. I was younger. Had just hooked a bluegill, beautiful one, unhooked it quickly, threw it behind me, get my rod back in the water, and you ever see the clouds come over and you get a shadow? Well, this shadow come up over me. And I turn around, I'm like, where's my fish? And I'm looking at my brothers and my dad. I'm like, you guys grab my fish? And they're like, no. So my little brother, Ron, he goes, I got to go to the bathroom. So I said, well, go up there along the tree line by the car. He goes up there, and the next thing I know, I turn around. He's in the water. He's running to the water. He's literally standing, looking back, screaming, monster, monster, monster. My dad goes, go up there and see what he's talking about. So we all walked up there. I'm looking down behind my dad's Cadillac. There's a footprint in the ground. I see more footprints to my left, and I go, there it goes. And every one of us saw it. Now, I protected this print, and I told my dad, I said, you got something you can make a cast, like with the cement, So he came back there later and made a cement print, and my dad worked for General Motors. I swear this print is probably still sitting in the General Motors display case because he was showing everybody, talking about it, because he's seen it. So, but as time goes on, we had the Kent State shootings. You remember those?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I was one of the youngest students at Kent State at that time when that happened. I was invited down there with my teacher. And about a week later, my dad was transferred to the Fleetwood plant in Michigan. So we left Ohio, and that's when I started deer hunting. And I got my first 410. I'm the last guy walking in the woods with them. And I'm looking up to the tree line to my right, and we were in the Hillsdale area. And I see this creature standing there from the waist up over this thicket looking down at us. And I'm like, hey, you guys see that up there, you know? And my dad's like, no, I didn't see it. So later that morning, I missed the 9 point. We're coming back out, and he goes, why don't you go up there and see if you see anything? I went up there, and there were footprints just like we saw down at Mogador. And I told him about it. He's like, oh, yeah? So, you know, he's taking the safety off his 12 gauge. But we walked on out of there, and it just went from there. Eventually, I got back here to Ohio and started hunting here at 16. I got my driver's license, and I was out at Hamden Orchards. And I'm walking in with a few friends, and there's one up in a tree to our left. And I'm going, you guys see that? You know, and it just jumps out of the tree and tears through the woods. I'm like, what was that? You know, but it was stupid things like this that were happening. It's like I couldn't make no sense of it. But I started doing a lot of hunting, and I mean a lot of hunting. I was not like one of these guys who would just go out for a week or, you know, it would be round the clock as much as I could be out there. Last day of the season, I'd be out there, and I'd be deer spotting through the summer. And, oh, my God. I'm back down in the Hamden Orchard area. I'm fishing. I'm just walking down there they got a lake down in there. I'm just coming down this trail. And I hear this loud growling. And I'm like, it froze me in my tracks. And I mean, literally the hair stood up on my head. I had to turn around and walk right back up out of there quickly because I knew I just had a funny feeling something was wrong. And, then I started hunting out in Rome on my buddy's property on 45 and 6. And before I started hunting there, they ran a temporary health care, so I was helping them on their farmhouse. And they were telling me a story. They said they come in at nighttime, and they were hearing something back in the woods. They said it's making these screams. It sounded like a girl being murdered, and they were missing 21 chickens in 21 days. And I'm going, are you kidding me? I'm thinking maybe it's a fox or something, you know. So I walk back there, and it's opening morning. I'm going in, and all of a sudden I'm seeing something to my right. Now, there's some low spots in Rome, but it's normally flat out there. This thing standing in a low spot looking at me, and I see the eyes. It tears. It just takes off, but there's 5 inches of snow. So I'm waiting for the sun to come up. But I'm hearing like wings, which made no sense. I go down, I'm following the tracks. I go out to a middle of an open field, and the tracks stopped. Couldn't see any tracks for as far as I could see. And I'm like, did I just see the Mothman? You know, because it made no sense. I mean, I'm hearing this heavy flapping, but it was gone. I mean, just gone. And then I hooked up with a buddy. We were hunting. We were working together, Burton Steele, and we went down to Salt Fork State Park. And he goes, you'll get a deer down here. You know, we're coming in opening morning. I'm following him in. We see a creature standing to our right. As we got to the spot, I said, did you see that thing back there by that house underneath that light? He goes, yeah, I did. And he went down, but we were very close to the cabin. So he went down near the lake. I'm up a little higher. He comes up after the sun come up. He's like, I didn't see nothing. We're coming back up the trail. I'm like, you see that print down there? He goes, yeah. I said, I wear a size 13. I said, that's got to be a basketball player. That thing's huge. He put his boot down there. He goes, you ever hear of Bigfoot? I said, yeah, out in California. He goes, no, it's been here. It's been here for a long time. I said, well, we could track this thing right now. He goes, no. So I wanted to go after it, but he just didn't want to.
So up until this time, you were seeing these things, and you weren't thinking they were Bigfoot.
Yeah, I wasn't. I couldn't put 2 and 2 together on it. I didn't know what this thing was. I didn't know who to tell. I didn't know who to talk to. I was hunting up in Thompson for a while, and I've had some encounters up there that I wish I could forget. But when you get rocks thrown at you and logs thrown at you and you're chased out of the woods, yes, it's something you won't forget. But I've done a lot of hunting, and then I got hooked up with my friend in Jessica. She is just a wonderful person. She works at the Mocha House in Youngstown. And she had me come over her place, and she goes, "What do you like to do?" And I just kind of threw it out there, and I said, "Well, I like to model trains. I like to go hunting." And I said, "I like the Bigfoot." I just threw it out there. She goes, "It's here." And I said, "What do you mean it's here?" She goes, "No, it's really, really here. Let's take a walk." And we didn't go more than 200 feet down this trail past her dad's house, and I'm looking at a nest, and I'm going, it is here. So within probably 3 days, I hung up a stealth cam. 3 days later, I had a picture of this thing. It lit up like a firecracker. And I had a footprint from it, and I'm like, it really is here. And at nighttime, they're still having activity up there. You can hear the dogs barking, and all of a sudden this thing comes in, and you'll hear it make a sound. Them dogs go dead silent. You won't hear a tree frog. You won't hear a dog barking. And I just can't believe what I'm seeing up there. A lot of people know about it. And I met a gentleman yesterday. He was telling me he was on a bike, and I said, "Hey," I was taking a picture of a bowed tree. And he goes, I said, "Do you ever see the Bigfoot up here?" He goes, "Yes." And I said, "I know there's a family of them up here." I said, "My buddy Kevin, he saw one that was probably, he thought it was up in the tree. And when he rounded the corner, he said this thing was standing on the ground. And it's a real big one, because I've seen it a couple of times over there." And he goes, "I'm going to tell you," he said, "there's more than a family up here." He said, "There's quite a few of them." So, yeah, I'd love to see other Bigfooters come up into this area and try to bring up their drones, because fall is coming. The leaves will be down, and they'll have a field day over there.
Well, we've talked to a lot. We've talked to a lot of people in that area that you're talking about. It seems like it's a hot spot with
it is a hot spot. And like I told you earlier today, I went over to get her dad to go shopping, and I wasn't thinking nothing of it. The guy speaks Greek, so he's older, and we're just coming out on the backside of Newton Falls onto Route 5, and I'm like 4 cars back. We're doing 50 miles an hour, and he spots it first. And he goes, "There's some kind of dog up in the road." And I'm just like, I kind of glance over at it, and I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And I kind of look back, and I seen brake lights, and I'm looking back, and I'm like, "That's no dog." You could see the upper muscular and the shoulders. It was on its knuckles crossing the road. I go, "It ain't got a tail, man." I said, I knew what this was. I said it was a young Bigfoot. Cars were almost coming to a stop. This thing just took off. I thought somebody had hit it. As I got up there's nothing in the road. This thing was gone. I mean, gone. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. And he just told me, he's like, "I never seen no dog like that." Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Yeah. It was there today. And I wasn't expecting it.
And what's really crazy is that, like, you're talking about Newton Falls, which isn't too far away from Akron, right? Everything.
No, it's not that far away.
And that is where, we had a guest on, Jody Cook, who's with the North American Dogman Project, who said they have people in the park system there who said they believe there's dogmen there. So is there dogmen? Is there Bigfoot? What is going on?
Well, we know there's a Bigfoot for sure, but back in the day, my brother Johnny, my other brother Junior, they used to work at Jog Lake, and my brother Johnny took me down to this place called Skull Rock. And it's all I remember of it. And we were walking in with some of his friends, and I was younger at the time. And he wanted me to go up in this thing first, and I come tearing out of there, crawling out. And this creature came out that looked like it had a dog-looking face. That's all I remember from it. And then later that night, my brother, he kind of went back in there with a double barrel shotgun, but yeah, he got in a lot of trouble for that. But yeah, I've seen some stuff out there. I don't know what they are, but I do know the Bigfoot is definitely up there.
Now, so I mean, you've had quite a few encounters. Now, do you feel lucky or unlucky that they seem to?
Honestly, I wasn't looking for them. You know, I always wanted to get a buck. I was just out there to deer hunt. You know, that was like anybody who ever knew me knew that was my favorite thing to do. And like my one buddy, Ron Geeling, before he went in the Air Force, we were hunting in PA. And opening morning, everybody's wearing orange. That is a give me. Honest, that you have to have orange on. That's high-powered rifle, guarantee it. And we're on a hillside between Route 30, 18, and 151. And we're back there. I'm looking down this valley, and I just see my neighbor walk by the creek down at the bottom. I said, okay, there goes our buddy. All of a sudden, I see this brown person walking up this hill that I would have slid 5 trying to get up it. And I'm looking at it, I say, who's out here in brown? You know, and it didn't dawn on me at that time. You know, I'm like, are you kidding me? There's somebody out here in brown, you know? But then later on, when I was putting 2 and 2 together, I'm like, oh my God, that was a Bigfoot going up that hill. You know, so yeah. So yeah, they're in PA. I've seen them up in the Alleghenies. You know, I used to go up there to Tidiu, Tynesta, West Hickory, and I was off of Gore Road. And I just happened to walk over a power line just to look down because I was deer spotting at the time. And I'm looking down this power line. It comes from the left down the hill and cuts right. And I'm going, there's a Bigfoot. You know? Oh my God. Yeah. It was just stupid stuff I would see in the woods. It wasn't that I was looking for them. I was just hunting. I was enjoying, you know, the outdoors. And like this one time, it's almost comical. I'm in Thompson. I'm looking around. I'm tired from walking that day, and I see this tree. Like, I figure I'm just going to turn around, sit down, and lean up against this tree. I sit down, and I fall clear to my back. The tree is walking away. It was almost comical. All I could see was this thing walking away. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, God, that thing's still here, you know? And I thought it was a tree standing there. I mean, it really looked like a tree branch coming down. And it just walked away, but it was almost comical. But to be chased out of the woods, that's a very scary thought. Yes, and I've had it happen. But like that one story I told you with my buddy, we were working at the Best Western. And we all were just remodeling the hotel in Euclid. We were just finishing up, and everyone had a great idea to go hunting, you know. So I said, well, I got a spot out in Thompson. And we got out there and we started pushing the thickets off the Gurridge farm. And I'm just moving through there, and you couldn't make no noise this day. It was one of these kind of like gushy, quiet days, you know, but we're spread out about 25 feet apart, just walking through it. We get up on the other side in the open woods, and I'm looking at what appears to me was like a carpet laying on the ground, but it flowed over. I mean, it looked about 3 foot tall, looked about 12 foot long. And I said, this has got to be some hillbilly's carpet. They just threw it out here. There's the old road I see to my left. And I said, I'll tell my buddy Dale about it when I get back. And I get on the other side of this thing. I could have touched it. Literally, I had my hand within just like 2 inches of it. And my buddy goes, I got a date tonight, you know? And I'm looking at him like, why did you wear good clothes out here? You know, we're hunting. And I'm looking for a stump, a log. And I said, sit on the carpet. I said, it looked dry. And I turned around looking across the open field. Now, this is like slow motion when this happened. My buddy goes, I hear, hey, and he's rolling off of this thing as everybody's turning. The thing stands up. And now Joe's the type of guy that would eat a bug out of a dare. And I just ragged on him all the way home. I'm like, it had to be out of everybody. It had to be you, and you lived to tell about it. So This thing stands up. It's staring at Vern, his brother, his friend. The thing looks at me, looks at Joe. Joe's on the ground looking up at it, and it tears through the woods. And all I could see were branches breaking. Now, the following day, I went to my dad's house on the west side, and I'm like, bring me a Bible. I said, because this is the only time I'm going to swear on this Bible. I said, this is what happened to us yesterday, and I didn't even blink when I told the story. I said, I'm not kidding you. This really did happen. I said, someday I told Joe and them, I said, I'm going to tell this story one day. I said, because Joe went on to Bowling Green, and I don't know where Vern went off to, but I said, I would tell the story. I said, and when I do, y'all better back me on this. Oh, my God. Yeah, no, this really did happen. Oh, yeah, I've had
So did you ever, like, so you're almost every one of these sightings or experience you were out hunting. Did you ever think about like shooting at it or shooting? I mean,
no, I mean, we never really thought about it. I mean, like one time I went into the area and I was by myself and I just had gotten into the woods and I realized the female was standing just to my right, about maybe 15 feet away. Mm-hmm. And I just calmly under my breath, I said, look, I said, I know you're standing there. I said, but I'm going to hunt here today. So let's just get along, because I got sick of being chased out of the woods. So I was so determined to hunt. I wanted to hunt. So I started heading out across the field, got to the back of the 70 acres, and I went into this other field. And I'm like, okay, I see a rabbit. I'm going to get this thing. So I'm going after this rabbit, and I feel like I'm hung up on my right leg. I'm like, what the hell? I said, I kind of brushed it away, thought it was a sticker bush, started to come up with the gun again, and I feel another hang up. I started to brush away, and I see this hand. I turn around. I'm looking at, looked like a 3-foot monkey, looking at me, and the eyes closed like a lizard. And when it did, it took off to its mama. Now, keep in mind, I am way back on the back field. The farmhouse looks like a little square, you know, and I'm like, the sun's going down and I've got to get out of here. So I'm going right up through the middle of the fields, and this thing let out a scream where I went deaf for about 2 minutes. I couldn't hear nothing. It was so loud. And I'm like, I'm leaving you, big son of a... I just laid it out there, and I couldn't hear. I mean, it was that loud. And I just kept walking up to that farmhouse. And I'm like, God, it scared the hell out of me. Now, one other time we were out there, and a friend of mine went with me. He's never been hunting out there. I said, I'm going to face the field. He's going to face the woods. And we're sitting about maybe 30 feet apart. The sun's coming up, and all of a sudden I'm seeing him walking backwards, looking into the woods. And he's walking past me backwards, and he kind of glances at me, looking over into the woods. I said, what's up? He goes, I just saw a 6-foot monkey. I said, let's go. We headed back to the car. I unloaded the guns. We got in the car. He goes, what the hell is that? I said, I don't know, because I didn't know at the time, you know. But, yeah, it was stupid stuff that was happening. I wasn't the only one seeing it out there. Then I got to talking to my neighbor out there, and he's like, yeah, I've seen it. He said, it's back in here. It's on the Gurich farm. It's in the woods. We started seeing dead deer. The legs were broken. The guts were torn out of them, and they were stacked up. I'm like, what is doing this? I said, this ain't no poacher. I said, there's no bullet holes. There's no arrows. I said, and I took clippers to clip my way through the thickets, and here I'm looking at one of them. And boy, I turned around. I was moving up out of there. Yeah, these things they're very territorial. Seriously, they are. But yeah, there's something to see.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds like, I mean, we've heard a lot of stories of people getting chased out of the woods. So it's not like you're the only person.
Oh no! Oh God!
But
oh my God!
But I don't know. I don't know if I'd gotten chased out as many times as you did. If I keep going back, that's
you know. But I figured they were gone. You know, you go in one year, you see them, And you're like, okay, you're not going to see this thing a year later. You know, you're thinking it's already probably 20 counties over somewhere. You know, I had no idea. I was just like, I'm hunting there. That was my thing, you know.
Right.
And little did I know, it wasn't going anywhere. And I would go back in there. Like this one time, I literally got attacked by one. And I was just walking in. I see a log come flying through the air, and it lands right in front of me about 5 feet away. And I'm like, where did that fall out of? You know, I just don't know. I'm just hunting, you know. And I'm going in to do some squirrel hunting, and I'm looking up in the trees, and all of a sudden I feel a hand, boom, hit me on the top of my head, and it dropped me to my knees. I hit that ground, rolled around, and I could see this creature holding my boot. And I brought the gun up, squeezing on the triggers. I knew I was going to have to shoot this thing. This thing let go, took off, and I heard an audible voice, run. So I got up, and trust me, I just came out of the military at this time. I could run my butt off. I hit that corner of that field, and I saw it coming. All I could do was hide. I got into the thicket and watched it run right past me. I'm figuring, okay, I'll wait a few moments. I get out there. I don't see it. I get out in the middle of the field. I start walking, and I hear 2 hunters to my right going, let's shoot it. He goes, no, we might hit him. And that's when I realized it was behind me, because I could feel warm breath going down my neck. I could see a foot go between my legs, and the only thing I could do was bring my gun up over my shoulder and spin on it. And as soon as I was on it, I was going to pop it. And I mean, this thing was mean. I come down on this thing. It looked at me, and it probably went 70 feet into that tree line in one bound. I mean, it was that fast, that quick, and it was gone. But, yeah, it was probably the last time I hunted there, because it scared the garbage out of me. Yes. And then I was up in Madison. So this gets better. I get up into the Madison area. I meet a guy. I'm taking a bow season now because I want a longer hunting season. Mm-hmm. So I'm going in one night. I'm up in Innabond Road, and I meet this guy. He knows there's a 10-point in the area. So I said, okay, we'll get it between us. I'm going to go right up the middle of the thickets. You go to the left. I said, maybe one of us will get it. Now, as I'm walking in, I'm hearing whistling. And I'm like, oh, crap, there's some kids out here tonight, you know? And it goes dead silent. And I'm like, what the heck? And I could hear something moving through the woods. I said, it's got to be kids, you know? I find this cross trail through the thicket. I said, I'm going to sit right here and wait on this buck. The sun's going down, beautiful night, full moon. It was perfect conditions. And I see these 2 heads, green eyes, bobbing down this trail coming towards me. And I'm going, oh, it's got to be 2 guys out here with night vision goggles, you know. And all of a sudden, I see them get close, and then they tear it left and right. And I realized something. A friend of mine that lives out there that works on my car was telling me about something that was coming in, eating the aluminum off the sides of the houses and leaving these great big 3-toed prints. I'm like, okay. I get up, and back then I had a door key, so we didn't have this push button stuff. I reach for that key, I got it in my hand, and I take off running, praying and hoping I'm not going to step on a leaf, a stick, nothing. I make it back to the car, I pop that door open, and I see them coming, and I took one shot with the bow. I threw that bow in that car, hit that in reverse. I was halfway down the road. They come up, 2 of them. And here somebody had thrown out some old green peppers to the right. They were like those jalapeno peppers. The creatures were eating them. They went down there and just started stuffing their faces. I'm like, unbelievable. Now, Mark DeWorth was telling me a story where he was down the road looking for 3 of these things, and I'm like, I could tell you exactly where they were. I said, because there's an oil tank there. I said, they're hanging out right in there. And I met some people down there. I helped one day with their car because they were broken down, and we were gabbing about Bigfoot out there. And he said, we hear them all the time. We hear the sounds up there in Madison, and they can hear the sounds. You know, there was an old story about Momian in the area that one of my old relatives were telling me about, and they said, don't go in the woods. They said, Momian will get you. I said, what is a Momian? But it had a cave in the ground, and they brought in a car. Somebody brought in a car to cover up the cave because they got sick of seeing it. So, yeah, but there's some stories up there, and people do know they're up in that area. And I used to hunt along the railroad tracks up there because they were never posted. So there was, and trust me, after 9/11, I never met so many police officers in my life, because they all think you're a terrorist with a camera in your hand. But, yeah, they're up in that area. They are literally up in that area. So then I just started coming down here, moved down here to Warren, and like I said, I met Jessica, and she hooked me up in a very good hot spot, and I've been hooked ever since. So,
well, I do want to. That's so many amazing encounters.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's unbelievable because it was like I never wanted to look for it in the beginning. It was like I just love to hunt and fish and camp,
Yeah.
And like I used to fish at East Branch. We went back in the day when you could fish off the bridge before Akron took it over, and. I'm telling you, I had a stringer full of bluegill one night. My buddy, he sees a Bigfoot, but my eyes weren't adjusting to the dark. And I went down along the side road by the bait shop, and I was fishing off there. And all of a sudden, I hung up my line, broke it, said, oh, what the heck, I'll just restring it. And I hear this splash in the water. I turn around, get the line out there, and I'm noticing my stringer's floating. I grabbed that stringer. I got a half of a fish. I'm like, yeah, and I look over and I see this thing running. It's a gray one. It is running down the road, and I don't care who was out there that night. They had to hear me because I was screaming at this thing. I was peed. I mean, really. I'm like, I was looking to have a fish dinner, and this thing cleaned it. And that's twice in my life that has happened where it has taken, they say it's an opportunist, and trust me, it is. It will, yeah, oh, yeah. So, but like I said, I do know it likes chicken. My buddy was missing 21 chickens in 21 days. Oh my God. Sometimes I put liver out. It's taken it. I've stuck apples out there. It's taken those. I've seen odd looking bites in the apples that not even a deer could do, and, yeah, oh my gosh. Oh, but yeah, I'm hoping I can get a lot of Bigfooters up here with some drones. I really do, because there's some serious activity going up here in Newton Falls, and they need to come up. Everything on the other side of Pennsylvania Avenue it is just unbelievable. They know they're there. They know it. They know they're coming into these areas. And, yeah, I'm hoping these guys could come up.
Well, I do want to, so I alluded to at the beginning, the story that I was told that led me to track you down and find you, because you had been a fixture in the 90s at going to like the Bigfoot meetings and stuff. And a friend that we've had on the podcast, Daniel Perez, he does the Bigfoot Times newsletter. He mentioned you in a story that he had heard from Mark DeWorth about a video that you had captured that a couple of well-known people in the Bigfoot community said, yeah, they had come up and that you had showed them this video back in the 90s. I don't know how much you remember of it.
Yeah, that's back. I think that's back when I lived in Thompson. That was, oh my God, we're going back some years. Over time, it's like this. Over time, I've lost 2 wives. And God bless their souls. My wife Cindy and my wife Sherry. But they believed in it, and they always supported us. And so it's been a lot of stuff over the years. And then I was raising my daughter for a while. I had back surgery, and, my doctor told me, I need you to walk, So I'm like, what can I do, So I'm like, okay, that's how I pretty much started getting into Bigfoot, because I had to keep up with my exercising, So if I could walk, you got to get out there and do it. And that's what kind of led me to doing it, but after losing your loved ones, and it's very difficult, and it took a long time to, focus on some things. But once I got back into it, it was pretty amazing. But like, I heard a good story one time. My sister, Karen Salian, she has a campsite at a Holiday Camplands, and I was out there talking to them about Bigfoot one night. And her husband, Rick, he had this retriever. They were out walking late at night at the campground, and they heard it. And he goes, the dog and him were headed back to the camper. He said the dog beat him back to the camper, because I guess the noise it made, it scared them both. So, but yeah, I've heard some good stories out there. And there was one down at Beaver Creek that just to this day is amazing. And it was the one where this guy's riding a horse, and this creature ran up, grabbed the guy, put him down on the ground. The horse takes off one way, the creature takes off another way, and the guy's standing there. Didn't know what to do. So, I know. And I'm like, because there's a horse riding place down there, but this is one of the stories that are down there. And, there's a lot of activity down by the Pretty Boy Floyd Monument. We've been down there. My first time down to Jim's, we went to Pretty Boy Floyd. And we started walking in, and Jim picks up a couple of rocks. And I said, wait, I see a turkey here with a big bite taken out of it. I said, I don't know how to tell you. I said, but there's one here right now. And he collects these rocks, and we get a reply like you couldn't imagine. I'm seeing trees shaking. I see one coming down the trail. I said, we got to get out of here. I said, we're in a bad spot. There's a cliff behind us, So we're heading back to the car, and I kind of glanced back, and this thing's got hot on us. It is coming up the trail behind us. And all we could do was hide. I mean, we got into another thick tree cover, and this thing comes walking right by us. And I'm like, did you see that? And he's like, yeah. So I said, we got to make it to the car. The car is another 100 feet down the trail. We come back out. I'm looking. I'm like, okay, let's go for it. We get to the car, and I hear this thing screaming to my left, just shaking the heck out of this tree. And I looked at Jim. I said, they will follow you out. I said, they want to know you're leaving. Oh my God. Yeah, I've had some bad encounters with this thing, and it will put the fear of God into you.
Well, I will say though that listening to those guys, I mean, that they said that you did capture probably one of the best videos of a Bigfoot ever. They said that it was probably it was right up there with the Patterson-Gimlin film. That was their claim. That was their claim. And
because there's so much I've sent in. I've sent photos in. I've saved my SD cards with different things. The one I took out in Thompson, out here in Newton Falls. I've sent a lot of photos in of the stackings and stuff. That was the one thing I noticed about the woods. You hunt in an area for like 6-7 years, you see how the woods are changing. And I couldn't put my finger on it at first. I'm like, how come I'm seeing stackings, like teepees? I'm looking at bowed trees, I'm like, what's doing this? I said, is there some kind of radiation in the ground or something? And then one day I'm coming down a trail between the neighbor's property and my buddy's property. And I couldn't make no noise. It was just one of them good dirt trails. And I see this creature holding a tree over, and I'm like, oh, my God. And it let go. It's flapping in the wind. It's gone. The creature takes off. I leave. I come back in there 3 weeks later thinking, it's got to be gone. I can hunt. I'm coming back down that trail. I'm looking right where I saw that creature, and that tree was completely bowed over and tied off. That's when I knew it bowed over trees. And then I started seeing these big stackings, and I've seen some stackings out there. Now, keep in mind, I trained with the Navy SEALs, and our whole company did, and we lifted those heavy logs. And I know how heavy those things are. I will tell you something. These logs were longer than what we lifted. They were bigger than what we lifted, and they were carried in and placed up against these trees. They weren't fall down. And I'm going, I don't even want to see this one. You know, it had to be super strong to get these in here. So, yeah. I've had some experiences that, yeah.
Well, the fact that you keep going back out is a testament, I think, to how bad you really want to keep.
I got determined with it because I kept hearing people talk about it, and, you know, like my buddy Jim, he had it a little bit, but I don't know what they were going to do with the footage. I meet guys all the time that they say they got footage of it. There's an old guy down there around Jim, says he's got some really good footage, but he wants $1 million for it. I'm like, are you kidding me? I said, just show what you got. You know, nobody wanted to show what they had. So I'm like, I got determined to just start sending stuff in. You know, I want people to see it. I want people to know, you know, I mean, they're out there. You know, like when I lived up north, and oh my God, this is the Chagrin Valley area. The Metro Park up there, there used to be up there too. And there were 3 of them that I knew of that came through that park in the daytime. And people were out there throwing Frisbees, having picnics, and these things walked right through there. Now, I got to share this story because it was in Mayfield Heights. Many years ago, we were leaving our friend's house, and I was with Ronnie Fool, and we are sitting in my car. He goes, I want you to park in this side street on Ridgeberry. He said, just wait. We're just past the bridge, past 91. He goes, just wait. I said, man, someone's going to call the cops on us. It's like midnight. I said, come on, we got to get out of here. He goes, no, just wait. This creature comes over the bridge, stops in the middle of the street, tears down the street. I said, what the hell was that? You know, he goes, did you see that? I said, yeah. I said, where did it go? So we went down the street. Here it was tearing up some lady's bird feeder down the street. This is in the middle of the city. So, yeah, that was really shocking at that time. I mean, when you're younger and you're driving and it's like, what was that thing? You know? Yeah, so, and when I read about a report of it being up there, I said, I know exactly what they were talking about. I said, because it came right in front of us. So, yeah, there is a report of one up there like that. So, yeah, I mean, God, yeah, I hope people come forward with their sightings. I really do. I hope more people will say something. Show what you got. Don't hold off. Don't sit on it. Start showing it to people. Because these things are real.
I mean, you sent me a lot of really good pictures, and and if you're okay with it, I'll put them up on our.
Please,
Facebook. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Please do it.
When we put this episode out, I'll put those pictures out, and people can take a look and see what they think for themselves. You know, so. But I do.
Yeah, there was we had one more sighting. It was down by Kenny Nelson Ledges. We were out just doing a little bit of hunting in the early fall. And I remember that morning I heard of a report. It was a light report on the radio about somebody saying they had seen a Bigfoot down there, and I didn't think nothing of it. We were on the outside of the ledges, and we're walking in, and I see what appears to be like, I thought somebody was putting in power lines because it looked like telephone poles going down through there, about 15 of them. And I'm like, well, maybe somebody's putting a camp in here, you know? And my buddy, I was with 3 other guys. We're just walking in. All of a sudden, I feel a rock hit my chest. Just boom, right off my chest. I'm like, what the heck? Walk a little more. Boom, hit the same spot again. I stopped, and I backed up. And I said, which one of you dope smokers are throwing rocks at me, you know? And they're like, we're not throwing rocks. I took one step back, and this rock drops right in front of me. And I go, it's coming from over there. We swung that corner. It was a female with a young one. It was telling us to leave. I'm telling you, I told my buddy that had the other gun, I said, if that thing comes out, just blind it. I said, that's the only chance we're going to have. I said, we got up out of there, and I never did go back to that spot. Oh, yeah, I love sharing this with you. Oh, yeah.
Well, I will say this, we're just about out of time, but this has been I mean, I think the Bigfoot community should be excited to know that that you're going to start coming back to the Bigfoot meetings. Because I think people are going to enjoy sitting around talking to you.
What I'm trying to do right now is get that family photo, and I've got like over 30 cameras sitting out there right now, and they're up and running, and we've been having a lot of activity up there. Like I said, I've been trying to get people to come up. I'd like to see them come up in this area, everything from Pennsylvania Avenue and Woodland right there. I mean, they are coming into these areas, and you just wouldn't believe it. You can see the stackings. You can see the bow trees. You see all this stuff. And at nighttime, every night, it's been going dead silent up there. One night I was up there, and Jessica's friend Adam was standing next to me, and I said, "Watch this." And I took a couple of rocks and I just clacked them together, and it went dead silent. I heard a dog kind of make a noise, and I made a howl. And I looked at him. I said, "Either these things are stupid or they're very smart." Within 5 minutes, here comes the first one crossing the road, crossed Akron. It walked right into my neighbor, right into Jessica's woods, right in front of her house. Here comes the young one. It comes walking in. And then a third one comes in. Adam goes, "I see it. It's got amber color eyes." And I went to look around because I'm looking at him, and I hear this thing do a low grunt growl. I turned to look at Adam. Adam was already gone. He was booking in the house somewhere. I'm like, he left me out here 30 feet away from 3 of them. Just like, you gotta be kidding me. So I walked into the garage, and I told Jay, because she was working on my daughter's hair, I said, "They're in your front yard right now." I said, "They're in the woods right now." I don't think nobody went out in that front yard after I saw them. But Adam actually was standing next to me. He goes, "There, I see it. It's got amber color eyes." I'm like, "Yep."
Well, I think the moral of the story is, if you don't want to see a Bigfoot, don't hang out with Mark in the woods.
No, oh my God. Oh my God, yes.
It has been fascinating.
It's like dumb luck. I mean, I honestly say, it's really like dumb luck. That's what I call it. I mean, it's like, now that I'm looking for him, I hit the most greatest hot spot you can imagine in Bigfoot. And I think any Bigfooter out there would love to have a spot like this. It's like any given time, any given moment, you just don't know when it's coming in, but they're there, and the people I've met over there, like her brother, I guess he used to be hooked up with the BFRO, and his name is Bill, and he knows about him. And he told me, he said he saw the big one. He said this thing was huge. And he knew that there's a family of them, and and I seem to be the only one over there doing it, and I'm like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me! How come there ain't nobody coming up here? I need a little bit of help. I just need some guys with drones." I said, if I could get them up there, I said they'd have a field day. They'd all be legends, honestly, and I guarantee you that, if I could get them up there.
Well, we'll help get the word out. And so anybody out there that hears this episode and wants to get a hold of Mark, get a hold of us on the From the Shadows podcast, Facebook page, our website, get a hold of me on Instagram, and I'll get you in touch with Mark, and we'll get you to a spot that sounds pretty hot.
Oh my gosh. They won't be disappointed. They will not be disappointed. I'm telling you right now. They will have a field day up here.
All right. Well, Mark, this has been a whirlwind. That's all I can say. This has been a whirlwind, but I appreciate you coming on and
show them my pictures.
Yeah,
absolutely. Hey, Shane, get those up on After the Shadows for sure.
I will. When this episode comes up, we'll put them up in conjunction so people can time together. So
absolutely.
Yes,
yeah.
I mean, there's always, like I said, there's always something happening up there. So please get them up here. I need some help.
Hey, I will. We'll get the word out for you, man. So,
exactly.
All right.
keep safe, and you keep sending me stuff. I mean, that was I had a big smile on my face today when you sent me the story about the one running across the road. I'm like, my gosh, I'm just sitting here at the.
Oh, we weren't even expecting it. It's like, you're going grocery shopping, and I'm just like, okay, I ain't got a thought in my head today. It's a beautiful day. We're just following the traffic in front of us. And this thing came right out. I'm like, are you kidding me? Because you could see the muscle structure. And I got to get one of them GoPros for the front of my vehicle. I would have had this thing bigger than life today.
I think you need a GoPro hat and put one on all.
Oh my gosh!
And you'd be all set.
I mean, seriously, it's like it's unbelievable the activity that's over there and why they're there. I just can't put my finger on it because there's a nice area of woods back there across Pennsylvania Avenue. I kind of get an idea where the nesting site might be for these things, but they're not leaving. It's like they're there. It's like they made home there. And I just need some people up here to really bring in some drones and take a good look. So anyways, with that, I will let you guys go because I'm running out of power here.
All right. Well, Mark, thanks a lot. And
thank you for coming on, Mark. This has been fascinating.
We'll definitely.
Hey, we'll do it again sometime.
Sounds great. Sounds great.
All right. We'll talk to you.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.